happy belated New Year. I can't remember what day it is, but we're in mid-Jan and hopefully you all had a nice Christmas break, or New Year, new me, resolutions, all that jazz. And today I wanted to talk about boundaries and the importance of them. When we talk about boundaries, what are they? So it said that boundaries are limits and rules we set for ourselves in relationships. People with weak boundaries tend to have a low awareness of what their own needs are. That's what's been said. And it's really important to have boundaries because boundaries allow you to take better care of yourself, and it stops people defining who you are and how they treat you effectively. And, we have boundaries throughout all different relationships, whether it be people at work, family, friends, children. Children try to test the boundaries. The ones where you're trying to discipline them. It's kind of like, leave the sweets on the table, and then they'll keep trying to reach, or you know how it is, they're reaching and they're looking at you while they're reaching. I feel like then at that point kids are trying to test their boundaries. They're trying to see, Mom, Dad, are you serious with this? Are you going to follow through with the discipline with me or not? And I think even as adults, that's how people do. People will try and test your boundaries. It's not always a conscious behaviour, but they're testing to see, well, these kind of rules, these things that you've set up in place, are you going to follow through with them? And it's really important that you do, because I think if you don't, it only frustrates you in the long run. It's only going to make you unhappy in the long run. It's only going to affect the relationships you have, and as a result, how people are treating you, and if it's a negative thing. So boundaries fall into 3 categories. It said there's healthy boundaries, porous boundaries, and rigid boundaries. So let's talk about healthy boundaries. What do people who have those look like? Some of the category, basically, the criteria. So they tend to value their own opinion, they don't compromise their values, they appropriately share personal information, and they're accepting of others when they say no to you. We've kind of heard that no is an answer. Sometimes we try to kind of overcompensate. It's like, I can't do this because blah, 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 when sometimes no is enough. I'm not telling you to go to work now when your boss tells you to do something, just like, no. Obviously, have some, no, it doesn't quite work like that. But yeah, you kind of get the gist. Those with rigid boundaries, so it said that they tend to avoid intimacy, don't ask for help, have a few close relationships, and they distance themselves to avoid rejection. And finally, porous boundaries. They have difficulty in saying no. They tend to tolerate abuse or disrespect, and sometimes overshare personal information. I always think about this when I see people go off on social media and write these long ranting posts and just sharing lots of personal stuff, and then everyone in the comments are kind of like, yay, you can do this, be strong, and I can see why they're doing it, but then I just wonder what's the reason for that, especially when it's a repetitive cycle. I just wonder what's going on for them. So those are the 3 categories of boundaries. And obviously different settings will bring out different boundaries in people. So the boundaries you have at work aren't necessarily the same that you'll have with your family. The boundaries that you have with your family aren't necessarily the same boundaries that you'll have with your friends. And different cultures, I feel, have different expectations of boundaries. So, some cultural groups feel that there's no need to share how you're feeling or what's going on for you. Some cultural groups feel that's fine. I'll come to work and I'll discuss everything that's going on with my family, and there's no wrong or right in that. I guess it's just depending on how you've grown up and what the expectations are. And even as a counsellor, it's really important that we have boundaries, because it not only protects the client, but it protects me as well. Obviously, I have ethical issues that I have to follow through. I have clients that are coming to me with some real vulnerable issues, and I have to ensure that they're not taken advantage of. And it's always important that as a counsellor that I discuss my expectations with the client, more importantly that I follow them through. And even outside of counselling and client use people, when you have your boundaries, it's important that you set those expectations up and that you follow them through. And I always think about, I don't know what it's called, is it Super Nanny? And we had Jo Frost, and she has a child, and we have the naughty step, and I always thought, when I have kids, I am going to do the naughty step, and puts them on the step, has a timeout, the child will come off the step, try and push the boundaries, she puts them back on the step, we keep going through this until the child learns that actually, okay, I've done something wrong, there's a consequence of that, I have to be disciplined, I need to sit on the step for timeout for 30 seconds. They soon start to realise that, okay, this is what I have to do, because she followed through, and I feel that's the case with your boundaries. I think people will start to respect you more when you have set them up and you follow through with them. And you know, I've said it already that people will try and test your boundaries, and clients do that. There's various different ways that clients will try and test our boundaries, and we have to kind of bring them back in line and, you know, just keep them safe and contain them. And sometimes it's just a case of, it's things that they're used to, it's that people have let them down in the past, and they're going to see, well, Karen as a counsellor claims that she cares for me, she's trying to help me be a better person, so let's see if she does care for me, and even when I push the boundaries, is she still there for me? Is she still consistent, you know? So yeah, and I guess boundaries, regardless of how big or how small they are, they deserve to be respected, they're important to you. So yeah, that was part one. In the next video, I'll be talking about how to establish healthy boundaries. But as always, if anything has triggered you or there's something that you want to discuss more, check out my website. All the details will be above, contact details. Have a good day.